Excuse how rough I'm looking. I just wanted to do a video today on darning pointe shoes because it's a well requested video, so I thought it's about time I did it. For those of you who don't know, darning is basically doing the whole of the platform or around the edges, or some people just do like from that edge round to that edge with either a thread or a really thick yarn, or sometimes even a wool. There are lots of reasons why you should darn your pointe shoes. For example, you'll get better life out of your platforms. A lot of dancers tend to feel that once the platform satin has frayed, that's the end of the shoe. That isn't the case. You can just trim the satin off with a pair of sharp scissors, put moleskin on, suede, or do darning. Now, you don't have to actually darn the entire shoe like the old school method. Some dancers like that, and if you've got plenty of time to do it, then sure, go ahead. But a lot of professionals and dancers across the world just darn around the outside of the platform, or just from there around to there. Some of the reasons why you should darn your pointe shoes include not just making the platform last longer, but also because the stability you're going to get from it. Imagine that like you're on pointe. Now, it does feel a bit slippery sometimes, so when you do the darning, it gives, I can't really describe it, but it just feels a little bit more stable and also gives better traction, so it's excellent for turning. It's also great for balance in general, which is kind of like stability really, but also you'll find that you'll start to really prefer having them darned. It also makes them less slippery, which is a bonus. So once you've darned them, you can always, put them in rosin or put hairspray around them to make them even more stable on the floor. I'm going to show you the method where I'm going to be using a wool, and I'm going to basically do from here round to here. Now, darning involves using a chain stitch method. It can be a bit tricky at first, but once you've got the hang of it, then you'll never forget it. It kind of sticks with you. Items you're going to need for this are preferably a thimble or something you feel comfortable with that's going to protect your fingers or your thumb. I'm using a Bunhead's jelly tip because I prefer that for some reason. Next, you're going to need either a really nice thick needle with a good sized eyelet, or you could use a curved darning needle which looks like this. Let's try and get it to focus so you can see that, like that. I alternate between the two. Sometimes I like using this one or sometimes this one. You have to make sure the needle is thick, otherwise the needle will break. Next up, you're going to need a pair of scissors. I've got these little handy ones here. Whoops. There you go. If you're going to be cutting the satin off your platforms, then I suggest using a really sharp pair of scissors. And if you're young, get an adult to help, please, because I don't want you to end up injuring yourself. Next up, I use some wool. Now, this is just like some white wool. You could get like a pale pink, I guess. Ideally, you want the type of wool that isn't too thick, and isn't too silky really. If you go on like Instagram and stuff and look at like ballerinas pictures, you'll see like a variety of ways of how they darn their shoes. It's quite fascinating really. So you can see the different types of materials that they use, which is quite handy. Anyways, so you'll need your shoes, and if you're going to take your satin off, do it now. The idea is to get the satin off the shoes, quite tricky. You want to basically get your scissors, these aren't a sharp pair, and I'm not taking the satin off today. And you want to just go into the little corner bit there, and then dig it in and then start to cut away. And once you've got the scissors underneath the platform satin, you should be okay with trimming all around the outside. And then you basically just snip around the edge of the platform to get rid of the excess. Now, this hopefully will make sense. I figured I'm better off showing you from this way how to do it so you can get more of a kind of point of view style. So first of all, what you need to do is get your yarn or your wool, and you want to cut off a good amount because you want enough to go around the shoe. You can go around the shoe once, twice, 3 times, it's up to you. You'll soon find out which is best. So I'm cutting off quite a fair amount there, so about there I'd say. Next up, you're going to want to thread your needle. I'm probably going to use my curved darning needle for this. Maybe not actually, because I don't think it's going to fit through. So, get your needle. Then what you're going to want to do is basically tie a knot so you don't go anywhere. Grab your shoe. And the idea is you want to start at the corner first. You want to make sure you go through the satin, but also kind of through the material on the platform as well. Otherwise it won't hold. So you want to push through. So, like that. Then you're going to pull through the yarn. It's quite tricky at first. You want to pull all the way through. Like that. Then we're going to do the same thing again, but this time round. The idea is you want to make sure you're going through the kind of edge. Don't go too far in, but don't go too far out, because you want to be able to feel it on point. So go through again for the next hole. Push through. However, this time round, once you've pulled all of it through like that, you want to pass your needle through the loop. So you haven't pulled it all the way through. You want to pass it through the loop this time. See that? Then you just want to pull the yarn through. Then you want to tighten it. Like that. Really nice and firm. And you've got to basically do that around the platform. I'm going over to that side. So let me show you that again. Go through. See that? Pull your needle through. Go through until you've made a loop. Once you've got that loop, pass your needle through it and then pull it all through. Then you've made another little chain stitch, so then you pull that nice and tight. I'm going to show you again. Right, this shows a better close-up of the darning. As you can see, just a nice little tight chain stitch. And you're going to want to do that all around the outside. In my case, I'm doing it to there, sorry, it's up to you, it's personal preference. So I'm just going to try and show you now even more detailed close-up of how to do this chain stitch, so you've really got it. So same method as before, going near the edge, pushing the needle through, making sure you're going through the platform, get the camera to focus, pull the needle through. Once you've gone through, pull the thread. Once you've got a loop, push the needle through, pull through the loop, like that, and then pull really tightly. Can you see that now? It's developing quite nicely. I'm going to go ahead and do a few more rows and then show you again. I forgot to mention there is another way that you can do a chain stitch, which is basically you go through like so, but then you take your excess thread and you wrap it round the needle, so like that, so you've wrapped fully round the needle, then you push the needle through and it basically does the chain stitch that way. It's up to you what method you prefer. So as you can see, I've got quite a nice little row here now. It doesn't matter what kind of space you leave in between each, but you need it to be quite uniform. So you don't want the gap to be massive, but you don't want it to be too kind of tight, so it's just like whatever you feel best really. As you can see, just from one row, that's going to be enough really. But again, you may find that you like a few rows, and simply the way to do that is basically go to the end, either finish off that row and get a new piece of thread, or just get a long enough piece of thread to go back on yourself and then back on again if you're doing 3 rows. To finish these ending bits, you can just trim them off, but be sure that you've got a nice tight knot going on. So that's why you should always knot when you start, really. Let's just get the camera to focus there so you can see.